Okay, we had somebody who wrote in and said that there, I believe it was a 5-year-old, and if you can go back and repost that for me, Traven, because the scroll moved faster than me. A 5-year-old who likes to grab things that are not his, and they're looking for some advice about how do you teach them not to grab things.
Yeah, so I love those questions because they're so important and they're so common, right? A lot of the parents on the feed will probably say, "Yeah, so does mine," or similar types of behaviors, and it's a good exercise for us to look at that particular behavior and talk about it. So, your child is grabbing things that are not his. And in typical development, kids would probably uh, initially make an attempt to grab things, and then they would very quickly be reprimanded, and they would learn that, oh, I can't take this away from someone because either it made the other person sad or it doesn't belong to me. So kind of more advanced concepts, that reasoning type stuff, right? So advanced stuff that helps our kids figure out, or at the very minimum, a younger child would think, if I grab this, mom or dad are going to be mad at me, or my teacher is going to be mad at me, right? So a consequence exists that is severe enough for the young child that they realize it's not worth it. I shouldn't do this, right? Now, so what they do, a typically developing kid, is they figure out alternatives. So one alternative would be to ask for an object. Another alternative is to take turns. Another alternative is to actually, steal the object when the other person, there's lots of alternatives that our kids use, right? But our children on the spectrum don't have the ability or don't think of those alternatives. And so the only way that they can actually communicate what they want is to grab the object. And when I say that, it's not, it's just a form of communication, right, Shannon? So it's just them trying to say what they want. And if they could understand all the more advanced kind of consequences, or if they could ask, or they could communicate about it better, then very likely they would have a different behavior. So I just want our parents to first understand that all these behaviors that we find to be challenging have to do with just communication. Our children have a hard time communicating their needs or their wants. And so as a result, this is how they communicate. So what you do is really very simple. You have to not let it work. This type of communication, the grabbing, has to fail. It has to not have the consequence that the child wants. Basically, you prevent the child from grabbing, you block the grabbing, you make sure that when he tries to grab, he doesn't succeed. And at the same time, you have to give him another way of communicating that he wants the object. So the reason that he wants the object is going to be different. I just saw another question come up on the feed about someone else's child who grabs drinks. So he wants a drink. Let's assume he wants a drink. You teach him to say drink or juice or I want drink, however much his capability is. And you focus on the teaching of the skill, because once the child learns to be able to express what he wants, and at the same time you're not allowing him to just grab, then the grabbing behavior gradually gets replaced by the asking behavior. So I think that is the key to all of everything that we do with our kids, is just teaching them a more appropriate skill that replaces the way that they're currently communicating. And so, Shannon, as you know, I always say, I think skill teaching is much more important, and it's about skill teaching. It's not so much about the challenging behaviors. The challenging behaviors tend to go away when our kids have the appropriate skills to replace them.